how fast are homes selling in my neighborhood? This is the question that Kelly and I get all the time, every single day. Well, today we're actually going to go through exactly how fast homes are selling in Baltimore County neighborhoods. And specifically, there's one that's I think is very, very surprising. Then at the very end, we're going to go through exactly what Kelly and I think is going to happen with days on market for the rest of the year. So with that, be sure to hit that notification bell, subscribe below so that you can stay current on everything that we have going on here in and around the Baltimore area.
First, let's look at the big picture. I think that's the most important place to start when we're diving into neighborhood-specific data. Let's look at the big picture. Baltimore County average days on market in August 2025, which is when we're filming this, 35. Does that number sound right to you? Does that sound familiar? If it does, it's because it was exactly the same basically in 2024, sitting right at 34 days. So big picture wise, we're looking at the same days on market on average year over year, but when we dive into specific neighborhoods, that story looks a little bit different.
First up on the list, and probably, I guess, the most popular out of all the places in and around Baltimore County is Towson. And this is obviously where Towson University is. There's a lot of young people, homes that are a little bit older, some new construction. So this is probably going to be one that you're going to be really interested in.
Towson's interesting because it's always going to be a magnet for buyers because of the school, because of the proximity, and because people think Towson, they think college town. There's a lot more to Towson than just a college town. If you want more information in exploring that neighborhood, we have a whole other video on that, so make sure you check that out. Average days on market last year, 19 days. This year, it's up to 29 days. So up 10 days on market, which really doesn't matter. If you're a seller, you're thinking, okay, that's a difference of a week basically. So not a huge difference, still a lot of demand there. But if you're a buyer, you might be able to get in there and actually have an opportunity to tour the house and see it before it goes under contract right out from under you.
Up next is Catonsville. And Catonsville has become extremely popular for young families, maybe moving out of the city to move up into the suburbs, and Catonsville has happened to be that destination.
It is only up 3 days on the market from last year, so we're basically calling that flat. There's a limited amount of inventory in Catonsville still, and so it's always going to be a popular destination, like Mike said, and those days on market have not ticked up significantly. Perry Hall and White Marsh are interesting to me because they've only ticked up on the market 3 days from last year to this year, but this is one of the areas, remember, we've talked about that still has some new construction. Those days on market are not calculated the same way in the MLS because they're not listed the same way. And we have heard from our new construction partners that those houses are taking a little bit longer. They're offering incentives for buyers that we had not seen a year or two ago. So if new construction is on your radar and something you're interested in and you like that White Marsh area, this is an opportunity for you as a buyer to consider.
You always hear about these incentives that these new builders are dishing out. Well, historically, over the last 2 years, they really haven't been that great here and around the Baltimore area. But now they've actually added on a lot to what they're offering and giving you guys a lot of money and incentives to move in.
Thinking about relocating to Baltimore? Well, I've got just the thing for you. My team and I have actually taken the time to create the ultimate relocation guide, which is meant to save you hours of research, and I've linked it all down below.
From top employers to best hospitals and a boatload of other things, all the stuff you'll need to know before making the move to in and around Baltimore. The best part, this guide is entirely free. Just click the link in the description at the top pinned comment. Hope this helps. Up next is Parkville, and Parkville is kind of like that tweener area between Towson and kind of like that White Marsh, Loch Raven area. And what's interesting about Parkville is it's a lot of older homes, a lot of starter homes, smaller homes, people that are, usually looking to move from that home into a larger home. But now things are changing a bit.
And by changing a bit, we mean they're sitting a little bit longer, 3 days more on market. This is one of those, because it's a tweener area, we'll see, and you'll see this trend, tweener areas are the first to kind of be impacted by days on market. The really popular, hot, sought after neighborhoods, houses that show really well, price really well, those are always gonna move quickly. These tweener areas that are always a little bit like somebody's defaulting there rather than choosing to be there, which this may or may not fall in that category for some people, those are gonna start to see those days on market tick up first.
Typically these homes are a little older too, so they need a little bit more TLC to get market ready. If you're not getting them market ready, then that's when you start to see things sit.
Owings Mills is an interesting study because last year it had 31 days on market and this year it's 35 days on market. So not a huge change, but I think it's significant that it already started at 31 days, which some of these other neighborhoods aren't even at now. Owings Mills has always been a little bit of a slower burn, but they have done so many things to bring value to that neighborhood. We've talked about this in another video, please check that out. But the Metro Center had a complete redesign. Foundry Row is brand new with the Wegmans. So a lot of infrastructure and amenities coming to the neighborhood. So I'll be interested to see how those days on market change in the future. I would like to see if it does start competing with some of the more established, sought after neighborhoods that we historically think of. I think Owings Mills might be on the map in the next year or two.
And then we have Pikesville. Pikesville is an area where you're gonna see a ton of older homes, some homes that are very niche in regards to how the architecture and how they're built. So you're gonna see a lot of maybe some funky designs, some older designs that are no longer used. So it's very key for sellers in this market to get their home prepped and ready as much as they possibly can. Days on market here are definitely trending up.
Pikesville is an interesting neighborhood because the proximity and some of the amenities tend to be great for certain families that are looking for that. In another sense, it's hard for families to come in and do a lot of the work that these older neighborhoods or older homes need. So the more that you can do to lift that weight for your future buyers, the more likely they're going to be to come in with a strong offer. And that's something we advise people in every neighborhood, but specifically in neighborhoods that are already seeing those days on market tick up, you need to present something really special for buyers to be able to latch onto and move forward with quickly. You guys know I love talking about Dundalk. I always think there's a ton of opportunity in Dundalk because it is one of the final frontiers of waterfront in Baltimore County. There are so many different price points. Investors love it, families love it. If you want a little more space and a little bit more house for your money than in the city, it's still very convenient to commute in and out. I just like a lot about it. And the interesting thing is days on market there are ticking up. And again, that makes sense. This is one of those fringe areas where people aren't necessarily seeking out Dundalk, but they kind of default there because they can't afford or don't find what they like in, other similar areas. So this is a great opportunity, especially if you're thinking about something that could be a long-term investment. Buying in Dundalk, living there for a couple of years, and then using that as an investment property is a huge strategy that so many of our clients have had success with because of the nature of this neighborhood. So days on market there are up almost a week, which is higher than any of the other neighborhoods we've talked about, and our biggest surprise because Dundalk normally doesn't have a ton of that type of inventory. So the fact that it's up a week is a huge opportunity in that neighborhood.
And that opportunity is sought after in the multi-unit dwellings that they have there. So if you want to house hack a little bit, move into one of the units and maybe rent out the bottom or the top, whichever you prefer. This is a huge opportunity right now in Dundalk.
Hey guys, it's Kelly. I'm here with Mike as well. And as much as I love making these videos, there's one thing I love even more, and that's helping families and people from all across the country make a move here to Baltimore. I moved here about 20 years ago and I've never looked back. I love helping countless families make the move as well. So whether you're coming out next week, next month, or even next year, don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is right here on the screen, and I've linked the description in case you missed the on-screen pop-up. Look forward to helping you and your family make the move to Baltimore. So you might be wondering, what is driving these shifts? Why are the days on market trending up? First of all, we want to set the playing field here to remind you that in a lot of these neighborhoods we just talked about, those days on market went up 3 to 5 days. This is not a huge shift. We're just following a trend, and we always like staying ahead of those trends. So first things first, this is not the sky is falling and everything is changing and the whole landscape is completely shifted. We're just trending towards more of a buyer's balanced market.
The elephant in the room is obviously the interest rates. Interest rates are all over the news, all over the headlines. In every facet of your life, you see the rates, the rates, the rates. Well, the rates have pretty much remained steady as they were this time last year. They're still in the high 6s. As of August, we are seeing a little bit of a trend down, which if you're a buyer, that's a good thing. But historically, and as we've seen over the last few years, higher rates have led to affordability issues with buyers.
Next is inventory. In every single neighborhood, there's a few more options than there were last year. Despite interest rates, some families have said enough is enough. I'm just gonna bite the bullet and buy this house and make my move and do my upgrade because I can't keep living in this home. If that's you, we can definitely talk to you about a strategy, but people who have that mindset are actually loosening up some of this inventory that we've been all waiting on. So while inventory is up 30% over last year. Remember, we're still in a deficit that goes back 2 to 3 years of a lack of inventory. So we still have not made up for the numbers that we're used to seeing in 2018 and 19 before the pandemic, but we are trending back to where we have a balanced market with a normal amount of inventory. We're still not there yet.
And this is probably the one that's least talked about, and that's the psychology of the seller. Some sellers, unfortunately, think this is 2020 and they can get all of these offers and list their house at a very aspirational price and get that price. Well, that is actually not the case any longer. You actually have to read the data, work with an agent that knows the area and prices your home and prepares your home effectively to go into market so that it actually sells and doesn't sit.
We coached a lot of you about how to price your house in 2020 to 2023 when there were no comps, because we were setting neighborhood record highs with every single listing that came to the market. Now we're coaching you the opposite. We do not have comps. Those comps from 2023, even 2024, are not relevant. The buyers are not coming to the table with the same offers that they were then. So we are going to advise you on pricing strategies that look a lot more like 2019. If you're really wondering what your home value is in this market and how it will perform on the market, you have to talk to a professional who has local data, because the comps that you're seeing, your neighbor that sold 6 months ago, whatever you think is happening based on what happened a year ago, it's not relevant. Even if we gave you a value for your house a year ago, that number is probably not the same number anymore. So we can definitely give you an updated value, and that's gonna keep changing as these levers keep shifting. As rates go down or up, that's gonna impact what buyers are able to pay for your home.
If you want to know what your home is worth right now, drop my home in the comments and we'll be sure to send you something over that articulates exactly what it is in this market.
So if you're a seller and you're wondering, okay, what does this even mean for me? Should I wait? Should I time the market? We're telling you right now, there's really no great way to time the market. We tell you this all the time. The best time to move is when you need or want to move. So if you're thinking about moving, here's 2 examples of clients that we recently had. These are real life examples. One of them, I had a client who had an older style home, close to the $1 million range, had a very large footprint, about 6,000 square feet, and it needed updates throughout. It was older, it had not had the same elevation of updates. She removed all of her larger furniture, removed all of her drapes, got fresh paint, did all of these small minor updates to really improve how her home showed. We were under contract within the first 3 weeks. Full price offer, she's extremely happy. On the other hand,
I had a seller that needed, their house has pretty much gone by the wayside. They had a lot of family issues and the house was just not a priority. So it actually needed a lot of prep to get the home ready for sale. So to get that number that the clients were thinking that the home is worth, and it probably is worth that number, it's gonna take a lot to get them to that number with repairs to the house. So what we did, we scheduled the repairs, we scheduled all the contractors to come out on our dollar, got everything fixed up. It sold for well over asking, $45,000 over asking, still in this market with only a few offers. So it is possible, it just needs the right love and care to make sure that your home sells and sells at a price you want.
So specifically, what should you do? Number 1, always our advice, what Mike just said, we're gonna go through kind of a list of things that we can do cosmetically to make sure your home shows as best as possible. We're gonna manage those updates on your behalf, we're gonna pay for them on your behalf, and you're gonna pay us back when the house closes. That way you're not outlaying a ton of cash up front and you're not managing a ton of contractors in and out of your house just so that you can get out of it. We know down to the paint color what buyers are looking for, and we deliver that in every listing that allows us the service. So that's number 1 across the board in any market. That's what's going to drive the prices, competition, and home value through the roof for you.
And then if you're on the buying side of things, there's so many agents out there that don't put this attention to their sellers. And these homes are ripe for the picking. So you have more negotiating and buying power than you've ever had in the last 3 years or so. So if you want to do inspections, if you want to ask for credits, any of these things are actually available to you now. Then you ask a couple of your friends last year, the year before, they never got any of these things. So now's the time, if you want to be a buyer and get some credits or get some inspections done on the property, that you have sought after.
And if you see a house that's been listed for 10 days or more and it doesn't look picture perfect and it needs those cosmetic updates, talk to us. We have a Rolodex of these same contacts that help us prep our listings for sale that can help make your house move-in ready and the dream house that you want. And you can probably get the seller to finance some of that for you. So there's a lot of different ways to get creative here with some of these houses that are sitting, and we can help coach you on that if you're a buyer.
Let's take advantage of it.
Our advice to everyone always, and probably the reason why you're watching this in the first place, is track the trends, not the headlines. We are here to give you real-time local data that's relevant to you if you own in Baltimore or around the Baltimore area, or if you're thinking about moving in or around Baltimore. These local trends are very different than what you're seeing on the headline news. There's always some data that makes sense for everyone, but it really is neighborhood specific, especially here in the Baltimore area. You hear us talk about this all the time, but we are a neighborhood driven city. Every single neighborhood, street by street, is very different.
Now for the question of the day. For those of you looking to move within the state of Maryland, you're already here, you want to move to a different part. What part do you want to move to? Do you want to move from the city, out of the city, from Baltimore County to Anne Arundel County, Annapolis to Frederick? Let me know in the comments. I'm extremely interested. Get an understanding of where people are moving within the state. Even better, give me a call, shoot me a text. All my information is right on the screen here. Looking forward to hearing from you. So if you want a more tailored approach to this process, whether you're a buyer or a seller, type in Taylor in the comments and we'll be sure to reach out. Hit the notification bell, subscribe below. That's Kelly, I'm Mike. Catch you on the next video.